on this computer. So now we are recording. So I want to welcome everybody. I know most of us were all here for our Team Tenderfoot, I called them. I hope they're not offended, but they were our young team debate team, ages 7 through 12, and they did an excellent job. And now we have our group coming back. And for those of us that might be new, I am going to tell you a little bit about the story. Some of you have already heard the story, but I just want any of our newcomers to know that the Orange County 4-H debate team stemmed from a call out to our youth during the COVID shutdown, and we had this opportunity through Cornell to use Zoom. As educators, we became very well versed in it rather quickly. And so it was like, what can we do? So we reached out to our youth and we called it the Your Choice, Your Voice. Some of the teens said they would love the opportunity to debate. And what we then did was opened it up to our Orange County 4-H youth in general. And actually, I didn't even set some age limits. People thought I was crazy, but it was pretty cool to get some 7 to 12-year-olds. And now we've got our teen group, which are 13 to, actually, I think our oldest is 16. We did have an 18 youth. She had to back out due to her grandmother being ill. And so we originally started with 12 in our teen group. You will see 6 in our teen group. We have 5. And we have 2 youth that are going to split the con side. Normally I've got 3 running a pro side and 3 running a con side. So I've got 2 youth that will go back and forth with their con side of the debate. And so I wanted to welcome everybody for coming tonight. My name's Lisa Hintz. I'm the program educator that worked with the youth. We were spending every Tuesday night from about 4:30 to 5:30. We started from bare bones. I was telling the group before, I knew nothing about a debate team. A lot of the kids that joined knew nothing about a debate team, but were interested in maybe just having an argument with a sibling or a friend and really working on winning that side. So that was their motive to joining debate, which was kind of cute. But we took it, we ran with it. We met, like I said, we gave them the opportunity to totally choose their topic, and you will, through our conversation, find out what their topic was that they chose. And lost my train of thought, sorry. The kids, let's see. So they even came up with the idea that they would love to be judged, and we worked on finding this rubric. So they've really worked from square one to doing this. And Dee, I'd like to introduce Dee. Deanna is my other co-partner in this and Orange County educator. So Dee can say hi for a minute.
Yeah. Oh, hi everyone. My name's Deanna Sardella Matthews. I'm an educator in 4-H with Lisa. This is really her baby. I kind of hop on and we do, I kind of am an extra set of ears to, hear what the kids are saying. And it's this program really, just by Lisa opening it up, like 12 kids immediately, reached out and said that they wanted it. And I've kind of been in there, involved in it since the inception. And it was really cute because the kids wanted to learn how to argue with their siblings for the most part, but then they jumped right into, yes, let's please, judge it. Yes, let's go live. Let's do all of this. So it's really been a growing experience for me as well. I'm not really well versed in debate. So that's really it. But it's also just seeing the kids, trying to be active and doing some, normal things, some normal programming, to the best that we can offer them right now. So it's really great to see these kids live and doing some programming with us. So I would say let's keep this ball rolling, Lise. Have fun, guys.
Yes, have fun. And so while we had discussed that there would be a judging procedure, I want to introduce our judges. We have Dr. Paul Johnson, who is not having the best of luck with his computer screen and his camera. So he is listening, and any information he has, he'll type in the chat box for me and I can relay. But Dr. Johnson is our board president here at Cornell Cooperative Extension. And so he heard about us starting this debate team, and he had a little bit of a spark, and Deanna said, "Oh, you might have a good judge over there." So I did one day, took the opportunity and asked him. And so he eagerly agreed. And then we have Mr. Everett Colley, who is part of EC Media Corporation, LLC. I know I always forget that part. And he and I have worked together on some other programs with the youth. And so he's always my shout out, very free. And he was my standby if I couldn't run any of the, if I couldn't run any of the media. So I always appreciate that support and backup. But Everett is also on the board. So this is awesome. We've got two guys that really know our 4-H program and how it relates to CCE. And then we reached out to Belinda Van Dunk, who is on our board, but also serves on our 4-H program committee. And so she was a great connection, but then she introduced me to her daughter, Erin, who is 4-H alum and is excelled in public speaking, which is one of our 4-H flagship. We Thrive, we're one of the only youth organizations, I think, that promote public speaking. And Erin I've heard you speak, you're so eloquent to listen to. And then we have JT, he's hiding somewhere. JT Jordecki is our teen leadership and career development. He runs our program, but he's also serves on our program committee. And Belinda and JT and many other functions. They were out at our park today where we had some judging for static exhibits. And so we greatly appreciate any of our people that step back up and help us volunteer their time with this. So, and greatly appreciate you guys taking the time to judge this opportunity. So with that, my youth should very much well know what to do next, as I've thanked our judges. And I'm going to mute myself and let you guys roll with it. Introduce yourselves, and then I'll help you guys get the debate itself going, okay?
Hello everyone, my name is Ronan and I am 15 and this is my 3rd year in 4-H.
Hello, my name is Akshaya Ramachandran. I'm 15 and this is my 1st year in 4-H.
Hello, my name is Yuvraj Chandiuk. I'm 14 years old and I've just recently joined 4-H.
Hello, my name is Ashok Satyamurthy and I am 15 years old and I joined 4-H 3 years ago.
Hi, I'm Tanya Sinha. I'm 14 and I'm a new member of 4-H.
Very good. So yes, as you can tell, we have gained some new membership through this debate program too. And I do have a handful of couple of other youth interested in joining 4-H. So in this time where our youth aren't doing as much, it's very nice to know that we've got new membership coming from this program. So it's always a good thing. So now with that, who is our first person on our pro side? I'm going to let you take it away with what you're going to introduce our topic tonight.
Hello everyone, so today we're going to be debating about, does the traditional classroom address contemporary society's needs? What this means is that, does the traditional classroom is already up to date with society's needs in the 21st century? And I'm here to tell you that it is, in fact, and it is already better than if you were to change it to something like online schooling. There are certain key benefits that come with the traditional classroom. Things such as social interaction is very key to students in their learning years. Allow me to explain. Social interaction is an exchange between 2 or more individuals and is a building block of society. Social interaction can be studied between groups of 2, 3, or even larger social groups. By interacting with one another, people design rules, ideas, and systems within which they seek to live in. These are used to communicate the expectations of a given society to those new to it. This also leads to better mental health by being around other people in person. It has a more positive outlook on life. Staying connected with others makes us feel more connected to the world and increases our sense of belonging. Social interaction is one of the most important factors for the health and development of everybody, from young children to the elderly. Positive social interactions have a wide range of both physical and mental health benefits, including communication skills and independence. Social interaction plays on an important role in learning. Interacting with one another has proven to be quite effective in assisting the learner to organize their thoughts, to reflect on their understanding of the topic, and find gaps in their reasoning. My second point on why the traditional classroom already meets society's needs is because of multimodality. Multimodal learning, or multimodality in education, which is a form of education that uses teaching concepts using multiple modes. Modes are channels of information or anything that communicates meaning in some way. Some of those examples are using things like pictures, speech, writing, movement, gestures, and illustrations to provide information to students in person. This is a more effective way of learning, unlike having lectures online. Using multimodal assignments lets learners get creative, encourages people to use different parts of their brain. Cognitive learning theory suggests that when learners are actively involved in their own learning, they retain more of their learning, so multimodal assignments are likely to create better results. Multimodal learning creates a more exciting and all-encompassing learning environment for students. They aren't forced to learn in a way that doesn't work with them with their particular learning style, which increases engagement with the course's content. Plus, multimodal learning opens the door to including all different kinds of fun and exciting media into the classroom. From videos to interactive graphs, multimodal learning strategies can leverage and use the technology and digital learning tools that students love using. Some other reasons why the traditional classroom already meets society's needs is that it holds the student accountable for remaining active and alert during class time. It's also harder to learn online if you were to switch. Classroom learning helps students and teachers know each other in a better manner. This allows teachers to know the students and evaluate their strengths and weaknesses better, act as mentors, and guide students throughout their school year. Those are just some of the points that prove that the traditional classroom is already meeting today's society's needs. This ends my thoughts on does the traditional classroom address contemporary society's needs. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tanya, and I'm going to be talking about why I don't think traditional classrooms address contemporary society's needs. First, I think it's important that we establish what a traditional classroom is. So a traditional classroom is basically a teacher leading the flow of information to the students, and the students bringing that flow of information home in ways such as homework, projects, group assignments, things like that. However, not supporting the traditional classroom does not mean you support online learning or any other form of learning. It just means that you don't agree with the way we are being taught today. As Ronan said, I think social interaction is extremely beneficial into learning. However, relationships are important, but if they're not done the right way, then they can be detrimental to how you're learning and if you're learning even correctly. So the American Psychological Association created a study that was called Improving Students' Relationships with Teachers Provides Essential Supports for Learning. This claimed teachers who experienced close relationships with students reported that their students were less likely to avoid school, appeared more self-directed, more cooperative, and more engaged in learning. However, teachers who had negative relationships with the student showed evidence of frustration, irritability, and anger toward that student. Teachers also might display their negativity through snide and sarcastic comments toward the student or describe the feeling that they are always struggling or in conflict with a particular student. So I think it is important that relationships play a big role in our classrooms. However, if these relationships aren't beneficial to the student, then they're ruining the education for everybody. Another Harvard study that's called Because I'm Happy claims that in this study, we found a network of supportive relationships is at the heart of happiness. If schools want to support student well-being and achievement, they should take seriously nurturing positive relationships among teachers and students. And that was said by Christina Hinton, who was a professor at Harvard. So clearly, relationships play an extremely important role in classrooms, but according to the American Psychological Association, it's not being seen as important as it is. There's been many reports all over our country, let alone other countries, about how relationships at schools are not always positive and usually are not positive, which really just shows that teachers are not understanding how important a good relationship can mean. A National Assessment of Educational Progress, which is also known as NAEP, is an assessment that conducts regular exams that include but are not limited to math, ELA, and science. They're just standardized tests, basically. So a professor named Sarah Lubianski created questions in these exams that involve that assess students' attitudes and happiness in their educational experience. She claims that while about half of the fourth graders, specifically 49%, say they're happy in school all or most of the time, only 26% of eighth graders say this, which basically means that as kids are growing up in schools such as traditional classrooms, they're becoming less happy. I think that mental health goes far more than just standing in the classroom. After you graduate college, your mental health will still be very important to you. Now, this study basically emphasized another study done in the Pediatrics Journal indicating a major rise in children's hospitalization related to suicide, with incidents most likely to occur during school months. So this entire study was basically trying to bridge the gap and see if either of those things have anything that basically means that these suicides are coming from school, or if it was just a coincidence. Clearly, it wasn't just a coincidence. Another big factor that I researched into was race and how that might play a big, important role. We luckily are very fortunate to go to schools that don't see race as a big deal and treat everyone the same. However, not everyone is as fortunate as us. The study claims Black, Hispanic, American Indian, and Alaskan Native fourth graders were significantly more likely than white and Asian fourth graders to say they felt awkward and out of place all or most of the time, and significantly less likely to say they never or hardly felt out of place. More strikingly, Black fourth graders, which is specifically 15%, were more than twice as likely as white fourth graders, 7%, and 3 times as likely as Asian fourth graders, which is only 5%, to report feeling awkward or out of place all or most of the time. Now, this is very interesting because the school that this entire study was conducted in, the Black students made up more than 50% of the school body, which means that they're feeling like this in a school that's made up mostly of their race. So how is a traditional classroom making them feel like they're part of the community if they're feeling left out when they make up most of the student body? It's more than clear to me that our schools are preparing us for a falsified version of our world today, and we clearly need to have a change. That's my point. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Akshay Ramachandran. I'm the second speaker for traditional classrooms have the needs for learning. We humans are social beings. We have mirror neurons that allow us to match emotions immediately and unconsciously. Social interactions are one of the most critical aspects in any learning. Traditional learning provides just that. Students are able to have a one-on-one experience with their teachers. They can get the extra help they need and also more explanations when required. In the classroom, students can build their skills on working as a team. They can collaborate their thoughts and learn from one another. It helps with organizing their thoughts, reflecting on their understanding, and finding gaps in their reasoning. With interactive face-to-face, yes, you can talk to more people. Online, however, is restricted in number. The next big point is trust and bond. In a classroom, it is very important for the teachers and students to create a bond, and have trust with one another. In a classroom, that is done through gaze awareness, which is basically eye contact between the students and the teachers. Whereas online, during this pandemic, each and every one of you have at least had to use some kind of communicating program one way or another. Most people tend to look at their image or some other person's image, and very few tend to look at the camera. Either way, it is not a very effective way of eye contact. As Tanya mentioned, yes, it is sometimes negative when it comes to social actions in the classroom. However, inclusiveness is also there. In current day, there's something called diversity and inclusiveness. This is when the students and teachers, the teachers can learn about the students. They can recognize the different abilities, diverse abilities, and the unique abilities of the students. They can accommodate and give an equal opportunity for all students. In this way, every student can learn beneficially. The next big important topic is multimodality, as Rona mentioned earlier. Let me double click on that. Multimodality is when you use more than one method in teaching a topic. Let's take an example to better understand this. Say you're in your health class and your teacher is explaining a very difficult topic. She can easily use a lecture to explain it, or any visual explanation, or gestures. Or on an alternate way, can use videos to explain things and then give you hands-on learning to back up that information you've learned. Multimodality is very helpful in this sense so that it accommodates all the students' needs and helps them learn in the way that helps them the most. And in this way, they are also accountable in learning and paying attention in order to do well. Online, though, it can easily be distracting, and some people can result in procrastination and end up not knowing the information and just easily searching up the answers for assessments. The last big point is student evaluation. In this aspect, the teacher can watch the students take the assessment and ensure everyone does well in the classroom. However, online, there are so many different things that can happen, including internet or connection problems, which can cause not good time efficiency. With classroom assessments, teaching and learning are meaningful and meet the needs of the particular communities of students. Another good aspect of classroom assessments is the teachers can watch the students as they take their tests or any other assessments. This concludes my points.
So another big point I want to bring up, as Tri mentioned, is that the emphasis on results traditional classrooms pressure us to have. So she mentioned that the online tests may not be as effective. However, there's been many studies done that even in-person tests like these are not effective. For example, the PISA, which is the world's largest assessment of teenage students, suggests that happiness is crucial to learning, but the OECD, which is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, claims these following things. 59% of students said that they often worry that taking a test will be difficult. 66% said that they worry about poor grades. 55% reported feeling very anxious for a test, even if they are well prepared. Now, if you just think about that, more than half of students in our country are worried about taking a test that they are completely prepared for. Is that a traditional classroom? Is that a classroom that we want to be learning in? That we are more nervous about the result that we're getting? We're more nervous about the number on the paper rather than actually understanding the topic. We're more worried about memorizing the information in our textbook rather than actually learning what's trying to be taught to us. I personally don't want to be part of a classroom that is just teaching me to memorize information and get it perfect on the standardized test that I get, so that I get an A+, I get an A. Because what's going to happen in our generation is we're going to apply to jobs and memorize the information we need to pass the criteria. When we get the actual job, we're not going to know how to apply those skills. We're going to have the memorized information from the textbook or the article that we read the prior day, but we're not going to understand how to apply those corrections and all the information that we learned. Furthermore, 37% of students report getting very tense when studying, and 52% reported that they get nervous when they don't know how to solve a task at school. This all basically gets to the same point, which is, are we learning things for the wrong reasons? Are we learning them to pass the test or get a good grade? Or are we learning them to help us get ready for our future? Is the real question. Because if we're getting tense just studying, and we're getting even more nervous while taking the task or solving the test, then those things can contribute to getting a bad grade or getting a bad score on a test, which just means that we're having really bad time management and lots of wasted time if all we're doing is just memorizing. And I'd like to let Ashok finish the point.
So as Tanya mentioned, the overemphasis on results and the misuse of time management is a severe sap on our learning output and our understanding of a topic. Another major thing that I want to talk about is wasted time. Now, how can we find wasted time in our traditional classroom? You can find it very simply just by looking around. If one student is having trouble with something that's being learned currently, that's not a problem. We're there to learn. But the issue comes when the student, if they have a single issue or misunderstanding of the topic, the entire class has to stop. And one teacher has to take all the burden of figuring out how to help the student as efficiently, as quickly as possible. But at the same time, the whole situation where the student that needs help is responsible for holding up the class puts a pressure on the student. Like, oh man, just because of me, everyone else has to wait. So what this results in is many kids don't ask for help when they are needing it, and instead go home to their homework without understanding what's going on. And then they ask their friends, hey, do you know what this homework is? And learn a half shabby, somewhat mugged up version of what's supposed to be learned. And they go in back to the class to repeat the same thing. And with wasted time, this amount of wasted time is can be attributed to lots of students feeling like they don't actually learn in school and that they are just behind all the time. It can lead students to cram for exams only to forget everything after the test without actually keeping it in your head as authentic learning, as Tanya mentioned. Some things I would like to note too is, what is the traditional classroom? The traditional classroom was originally an idea coined in around the 1800s when the industrial age was coming around. At the time, it was actually quite good and quite revolutionary because the purpose of the system was to bring about drastic change in literacy rates, as it brought over many more students than what was there, from 5 students for a teacher now to 20 students for a teacher in a classroom, where the teacher was given a large task to be the engine to pull the entire machine that was going to be the student classroom. Remarking on this new traditional learning system, specific reporter James Cordner said, "From the perpetual agency of the system, idleness cannot exist. No boy looking vacantly around him. The whole is a picture of the most animated industry and resembles various machinery of a cloth or thread manufactory, completely executing their different offices and all set in motion by one active engine." What is he talking about here? He's referring to how all the students are sort of just mindlessly just shuffling through the class, and the teacher has to pull all the weight to try to get everyone to understand. And in the end, the students all leave with a sort of half-baked understanding, but it's enough to get them to read a book. This won't work for us today, because some of the things we really prize and need for our society is what's known as 21st century skills, where you should be able to think, extrapolate on based on what you know or what you found out, to create new things, innovate, and not just take something that's already been found, mug it up, and throw it. Some other problems is with the unpreparedness for the modern society that we face with our traditional schooling system. This was a fatal flaw of our system that was completely just shown out to the world with the onset of the coronavirus pandemic. I can say with confidence that we were extremely under-equipped for this. If we had some sort of better infrastructure to teach our students continually after we had to go remote, it would have been much better. For example, we had to use only as a substitute for, talking or doing those type of things. We just had to look at textbooks or looking at the information and just trying to learn it as best as you can. And I won't blame the teachers here, because my teachers did a very good job at trying their best to do with what they had, but we didn't have much to go off of, exposing some of the weaknesses of our system. Also, we don't learn any sorts of programming or any sorts of those types of new skills, because that is going to be very important now and in the future. If you can't code, it'll in a couple of years' time, it could be related to not knowing how to read. And that's very important for us to prepare ourselves if we want to make a school that is really helping students get prepared for the modern society. So according to these such points, I would like to state that the traditional system is not equipped for modern society's needs and must be changed. Thank you. That concludes my point.
Greetings. My name is Yuvraj Chandiok, and I'm here to conclude the point on how traditional classroom addresses contemporary society's needs. On behalf of traditional is the way to go. Traditional classroom definitely addresses society's needs in multiple ways. It has many benefits that would make it more preferable than online schooling. Social interactions is one point that they major in. Allow me to explain. The traditional classroom addresses social interactions, which can consist of hands-on learning experiences, interactive group activities that children can get to know their classmates better and enhance their communication skills. Also, the teacher can use that time to deal with staff disruptions and any classwork. Demonstrations can make children focus and give them a better understanding of the topic than having a short burst of information from videos. In a traditional classroom, students and teachers make eye contact through gaze awareness, meaning students will gain more information and trust for the teacher, whereas online schools, you only have a computer in front of you, meaning no questions will be asked unless you email them, which is kind of inconvenient. Interaction with school staff is also big if you are down or need help. Our brain would function differently on online schools due to distractions and the urge to cheat. Allow me to explain a solution to a better understanding. Online schools can make kids have a lack of memory loss and information due to the way students could access information and process them from other websites, which would be considered cheating and wrong. In a traditional classroom set, students have pencil and paper and no cheating tools. Also, they are supervised by a teacher that can read them a non-understandable sentence. Restrictions can also be placed on online assessments, but in a traditional classrooms, processed focus assessments are available. Processed focus assessments allow a deeper understanding of the topic, and rather than the answer to the problem, the results to get it. Allow me to explain multimodality learning. Lecturing is ineffective for the traditional classroom because it requires an attention span beyond students' abilities, and also room for question is most likely not available. An alternative is multimodality learning, which consists of learning a flipped classroom model in which students can learn a preview of the topic before the class begins. With so many different ways to access information, teachers can also discover who is struggling and who is not. In addition to the different ways of learning, inclusiveness is the quality of covering a range of subjects or topics, which is provided in the traditional classroom. This concludes our points on how traditional is the way to go. Thank you.
I agree with your points about how you mentioned that it's very important for us to have multimodality, how lecturing leaves little to no room for questioning, and questioning is part of the basis of learning. These are the basis of learning as well. You were correct about that. But I have to mention how traditional learning is sometimes not able to address these things. For example, one of the things you have mentioned is the urge to cheat or the restrictions of having an online class. What would drive a student to cheat? Instead of taking the time to learn something and actually understand it for their own pleasure and satisfaction of knowing, wow, I understand how to calculate an orbit. Instead, why would they go straight to cheating? It is a human innate desire to try to become one with the group. And if the group is learning, it's an innate desire. You want to be like them. You want to learn too. So the reason that students are driven to cheat is due to over-emphasis on results. The emphasis is going towards what the score is on your test, rather than really what you're understanding and what you're learning. And that can be quite detrimental to what the students are trying to learn. If you ask a student after they've taken a test that they didn't really understand the topic, just memorized, they probably won't even remember the exact understanding. They might be able to spout out word for word the definition from the textbook. But if you ask them what it means, they'll probably have some trouble. So the solutions for this type of thing would be a different type of classroom setup. We have to change from the existing traditional setup because it doesn't allow the engagement of students as much, as the traditional system doesn't really incorporate a multimodality very well, as you guys have mentioned, and that is quite important for the way someone can learn. Secondary, after we have changed the system, we have to find a system that's able to teach 21st century skills and critical thinking and understanding of a topic. And how this can be done is not only just through labs or lessons, it can be direct experience. When you're learning, let's say you're learning about some type of programming, as a class, we can go out and program some new apps or with an actual programming group. And we will learn a lot from that experience, because another innate feature of humans is we learn much better through experience than just trying to understand conceptually. A concept that you understand is not equal to being able to actually replicate it. And that is one of the failures of the traditional learning system. So after mentioning about how the emotions of a student are very important on how they feel, it can very much affect how much you learn. Why is this? Because let's say you're feeling very ill on a day, you feel sick, your head hurts. Will you really try to focus on how to do that extra problem so you understand how to do a parabola? Or you're just going to plug it into your calculator, see what your friend's doing, and just write it down so you can pass the day? That happens a lot. And that ends up with you going home without the knowledge and without the understanding. To prevent all these types of things from happening, we will have to address that our traditional system was great 100 years ago. And now it's time to switch to a 21st century learning model. That concludes my point. Thank you.
Wow, you guys were flawless with I'm speechless. That was amazing. You did an excellent, excellent job. Lots of research. I can see how much research and time. I do need our judges to know that these guys had no idea what side they were going to get. They picked their topics, but literally I pulled their names out of a hat and chose their side. So they are so well versed on either side. You debated one another. That was amazing that we did this virtually, you guys, because that was awesome. So with that, our judges are, they may have some questions for you. So I want to give you, your judges an opportunity to ask you some questions. Stefan, are you trying to ask them something?
First of all, you guys, that was awesome. My question is, I was saying, like, that was really awesome. That was like listening to a college debate, honestly. It was really good. What was the inspiration for choosing the questions that you chose?
The topic that they chose, or?
Yeah.
Oh, good. So he wants to know what made you choose the topic. We had gone back and forth on some discussion, so. Anybody want to answer?
I'll begin. So we chose our topic because, at least for me, I felt it was an interesting topic that we hadn't really gone over before, and it's something sort of we can learn some new things as well as reinforce some things that we might have thought we knew. And it was a pretty new topic, so I felt it wasn't like we were just reiterating something that's already been proven. I felt it was an interesting topic, and we kind of discussed it in one of the meetings, and we had a brainstorming session where we picked some topics. So that's how I feel we came about it.
I thought I picked the topic because I thought that it was very relevant to the time period we're living in right now with the pandemic and movements going around the country. That is our classroom preparing us for these kind of years that are going to happen. Pandemics are going to happen, movements are going to happen. So is our classroom preparing us for these things, or are they not?
I felt it was important to talk about something relevant and current, and it's very important to know the actual definition of a traditional classroom and the importance of inclusiveness with the teachers and students.
Very good answers, you guys. We were also in the middle of that on the news. It was a reimagine, our governor was discussing reimagining our classrooms. And so you very well, and it was unanimous that you all chose that one too. You were like, "Ooh, we love that one. Like, let's really," it was thrown out there and you were like, "Bing, bing, bing." So I was like, "Oh, that was an easy one to choose." So Stefan, thank you for that question. Anybody else have questions for our youth? I'm sure, because you guys were.
Very cool. Thanks, guys.
There was definitely a lot of information, facts that I really appreciated receiving from you guys. So thank you for that. Did you have problems finding that information? And how did you find it?
For me, it wasn't that hard to find. I was actually surprised, sort of like embarrassed on how easy these facts are coming, because if you think about it, like, this school system has been here for decades, so the fact that we're finding all of this with one simple Google search, I could find out so many of these facts. It was kind of like my eyes had been like open to something I never would have even imagined, that there were so many problems and flaws. So it's pretty easy.
Yeah, when I searched up, there was a lot of places to find information, like Forbes, and even like state governments are trying to fix this problem. And I thought it was very interesting to search it up and find so much about it.
Great, thank you.
Just really quick in the chat, Dr. Johnson put a little FYI that in the debate club in high school at his time, they were assigned a pro or con sign when they reported for the debate club. So we had to research both sides to prepare for the event. So very good. Any other questions? My Van Dunk girls are very quiet. I find that strange.
I had one question. It was more in regards to, now it's gone. It'll come back. Oh gosh.
I was just awestruck. I have no questions.
I actually have one question. I know I'm not a judge, but since I picked your topic, your side, and you had no idea, who of you went in and went, oh, I didn't want that side, but now that you've come out, are like, oh, wait a minute, I'm glad I had that side. Who was wishing they had the other side, but now have kind of convinced themselves that they had a good side?
I liked my side from the start.
Yeah, I liked my side to start with too.
I would have liked the other side.
Yeah, same here.
Initially, I was on the pro side, but since we lost a member, it was changed to the con side. So I had already done all of my research for the pro side. So it was a little bit like, I kind of expected some of the arguments since I had already done my research for the pro side. So.
But I have to tell you, you did not. You were the most compelling. I have so many notes from what you discussed that I would have never known. You had lots of facts and you were smooth. You all did an excellent job. Don't get me wrong, but your facts just hit home to me. I was like, oh.
Thank you.
And definitely piggybacking off of that, because I'm happy, that was a huge thing that I didn't know about. I was researching, as you were giving your lecture. My question to you guys is, as far as like your relationships in school, I mean, the hands-on learning, do you think it's better to have hands-on learning or not?
I would 100% prefer hands-on learning. I think it's good.
Yeah, I would like hands-on learning. It does help me generally learn the information.
Yeah, I would.
think hands-on learning.
I would also prefer.
Preferred.
That's why they're all in 4-H.
It's true. Yeah.
We try.
What have you all learned from doing this time around that you figured out you want to do something differently the next time?
I should, next time, before I speak, I'm gonna try to, instead of just picking, I tried to predefine what their stance might be before I started talking so that I'd have a better, it would be easier for me to rebut them. But I only imagined that their stance would be in a certain way, and I was wrong. So I should prepare multiple stances on what they might choose their stance to be. So that way, no matter what they say, I'll be quite prepared.
Awesome.
I did very much enjoy how you one another did pick up on the next one. You did say, oh, I heard your point, but now this is, you tied it together. It was very seamless the way you made them connect. It was awesome, you guys.
Thank you.
And then let's see, Nancy asked, this was great. She stated this was great. And then she asked, are you allowed to present personal experiences in a debate? Nancy, I'm new, so I don't know. Any of our experienced people in debate know that? Are you allowed to?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think you can, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you can.
I agree. I think so, but I wanted to. Yeah.
I think so too, because especially like we're like living history right now. So this all ties in very well to what we're going through.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. And so now what I'm going to do, if our judges or any of our adult attendees have no other questions, I want to open the floor up for our debaters to ask our judges or our adult attendees for any feedback or questions you may have for our judges to move your career in debating forward. You've all have a great career in debating and definitely in public speaking. That was awesome.
Hey, Lise, before they start, I just want to say congratulations, guys.
I do too.
Outstanding. This is a topic that's fairly familiar to me. It wasn't long ago that I went back to school for my master's in education, and this was a topic that we debated often in several of my classes was, you know, the role of traditional school versus, you know, the flipped classroom, the, you know, more virtual Google classrooms along that line. So this was super informative. And you guys really, it's obvious that you researched your facts, and the way that you presented, it's kind of like what Lisa said, it was very seamless, especially considering the amount of time that you guys, you know, had to work with each other.
I agree.
Even though, yeah, right, Lisa? Like it was,
Totally agree.
it was definitely, you know, you guys worked weekly, and perhaps you even worked on the side that I'm not aware of, but considering the time frame that you guys pulled this together and you did an outstanding job. I've been like, it's like Lisa said, compelling. Like I've been listening to this, you know, very like with my ears, like, whoa, you know, and some really great facts. So thanks so much, guys. I'm very engaged. You did a great job. Great job.
Thank you.
And with that, do you have any questions?
I have a question.
Great.
I was going to ask that if you thought, like, when you were in school, did you think that since you guys have all graduated, do you think that your classroom experience, like, prepared you well for, like, after college in the future?
That was a great question. Dee, you're muted.
That's a great question. I'm going to let our judges go. I'm going to let them kind of answer those questions, but I'll jump in if no one wants to, but yeah.
So when I went back to school real quick, I took traditional classes in college, and then I also took hybrid classes. So we met once or twice a week, and then a lot of the coursework was also done online. And for me personally, I really liked the hybrid course. I liked still getting to get in person with everybody and have those group discussions in person, but then doing the assessments and everything like that online was better for me.
Hello. There we go. So of course, I had the traditional. I have not had the experience of virtual or any of those other things. For me, I was advanced placement and honors. So I really needed the traditional where I could have the eye contact because I'm a visual person. I have to have that interaction with the teachers. I mean, that's not to say that, you know, the way they're doing it now is not good. It's just what you're used to.
So did it prepare you for life was the question.
It prepared me, yes, it did. It honestly did prepare me.
Yeah, I've had every type of experience, I guess, because when I was going through my like primary school, high school, whatever, it was all traditional. And I don't know. Once I got to college, it was more of the hybrid model, or I did have traditional classes, but it was definitely different going through college. I think that my college experience prepared me more than my experience like K through 12 did, just because it was more self-directed learning. And so when I was hearing the points about challenges and being self-directed, I was like, well, that's what you're going to have to do if you want to go to college. Like, it's really, you have somebody who's kind of reading slides to you, but it's up to you to understand them and figure out and ask the right questions and figure out what you want to do. And then throughout the pandemic, I've been getting my master's. And so it has all transitioned to virtual. And I'm getting my master's in therapy. And so I had to figure out how to do all of that, which is all very much based on relationships virtually, and how to develop those relationships and maintain that eye contact and make somebody feel supported and develop rapport in that way. And so it was definitely a challenge, but it's something that I feel like we're getting more and more towards that. Like, there's more people that are gravitating towards virtual platforms because it's more accessible for more people. And so I see benefits to all of it, but also with you all being young and like working your way through your schooling in high school, or and maybe some of you guys are like right at the end of middle school. It could be that this is your future and that traditional classrooms start like kind of falling away. And so it might not really be an option because they found so many benefits and these new ways of doing things. But I think it also is very contingent upon what type of learner you are, because I'm a very self-directed learner. winner. So,
Okay, the debate starts now.
it's not a debate, it's just a fact.
I'm sorry, but the only reason why I see myself as is because that's why I put through in I was honors and advanced placement. If you're to stay in that program, you have to be self-directed. Otherwise, you will not be in that program for long. And I was for 5 years, so it did. It did prepare me for, it prepared me for was, for now.
Very good. We did have a parent that would like to comment, and then at the same time, Dr. Johnson put in the chat that public school traditional classrooms worked very well for him. When I got to college at Cornell, most classes were lectures, 300 to 500 students in the freshman year, not very effective. So, and we had a parent that was interested in commenting. Yes.
Sure. Hey, my name is Ram. First of all, congratulations to all of the debaters. Very wonderful job done there. I couldn't resist my urge to make a comment. All the judges and very thought-provoking questions as well. And one thing I wanted to point out was, it's a continuum when it comes to the traditional classrooms to online or a new contemporary, whatever we call it. It is just there's no point of time there. It is a continuum, and it is a spectrum from where you start with a social interaction to fully online. So there could be some misconceptions when it comes to. So that is one point I wanted to make. And the second point, more of a concern, I'm also a higher education consultant. So when I look at it from this, I'm more concerned about the full virtual online. Although in this pandemic, it is helping a bit. The schools are not prepared. Google Classrooms are not efficient enough for students, especially in the elementary school. So I'm more worried about the inclusiveness and the D&I aspects that we are looking in the classrooms. So some participants had mentioned about how these, it'll take that relationship off the table and things like that. Where I'm worried about is in this 21st century skills, when we talk about we are in front of the lighted screens most of the time, the students, I think it's more important for the social aspect or the people aspect to come in. I mean, there's more to be learned. So just thought I will, and the universities are focused on that. However much they are going online and virtual, there is a people side that is coming in general research. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. So I know Dr. Johnson posted his vote already. He chose he graded you guys. Dr. Johnson wastes no time. He gave our pro team 15 points and our con team 19 points. So based on Dr. Johnson, he liked our con team. He's so funny. And so folks, that brought us right to the top of the hour at 8 o'clock. I don't want to keep our judges and everybody any longer. I appreciate everybody's spare time on a Saturday evening. Very much appreciate it. If there's no other questions, I will wrap it up. But I will say, I'm sure you will be hearing from this debate team, and I do perceive us to continue to grow. So I look forward to everybody participating. And thank you. Good night. Congratulations.
Lisa, just real quick, I have a question.
Yes, JT's got a question.
So this is actually for the younger ones that presented before, so Arnav and Swathi. What did you guys learn during this debate that you think you can take for your next one?
Good one.
Well, first of all, add more facts and express it in a longer way.
Okay, great. Thank you. Swathi?
So as I already mentioned in my previous before, I did research both sides, but I should probably research more points of the opposite side so I can get stronger claims against those, which I did do, but I could do more. And also I learned some techniques that I should use based off just looking at everyone else's debates and the comments from the judges.
Awesome, great.
It was great question. It was very smart for you to stay in and learn more. You know, some of the kids were just like, oh, I'm kind of done, and they checked out. But very smart. You stayed in to learn. You guys are all at the age where you'll be our next group. So if we get more youth, we could maybe have a third team. So, any
Great
other
job, everybody.
questions? Thank you so much, everybody. Good night. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you.